Support for Steppin Out comes in part from the Kristovich family in honor of Mary Lou and Bill Kristovich.
I'm Peggy Scott Laborde, and welcome to Steppin Out, spotlighting the New Orleans area's arts and entertainment scenes. Seated at our table tonight, Chef Susan Spicer, owner of the Rosedale restaurant, along with Bayona and Mondo. Welcome, welcome to our table. Hello.
Thanks.
Band leader, absolutely. Band leader, a CD record producer, the list is long. Lars Edegren, here to discuss new releases from the Jazzology and GHB labels. Welcome.
Well,
good to see
thank you.
again.
Nice to be here.
Hello there. And Alan Smason of TheaterCriticism.com. Poppy will be back with us next week. Later, though, we're going to have performances by Jovanna Joseph from Opera Creole and some cast members from the musical Dames at Sea. But first up, Susan. Susan Rosedale, the newest addition to your trio of restaurants. I know we're going to show a little bit of the wonderful restaurant, but my understanding is that a lot of the cabinetry and carpentry was done by your husband?
Yes, yeah, my husband.
Family affair here?
True. He did. He started at Mondo. That was probably his first restaurant furniture job. He has a company down in the Bywater called Monkey with a Fez. So, it's a long story. There is a story behind that, but he does beautiful work, and he really personalized things for me at Rosedale. It was a real labor of love. On one of the bars, he put an inset, a picture of my mother and my younger brother, both who passed away. And so he surprised me with that and made me cry, of course. But
well, this started out as a very modest well, and of course, this was an old police station a long time ago, too. But it's looking great. Some of the wonderful dishes at Rosedale. And
there's our smoked tuna for our tuna muffalata.
Wow. Speaking of.
There you go.
Nice. And it's a very comfortable place as well. And,
Thank you.
Of course, on weekends, you've got brunch.
Yes, we open at 10 o'clock on Saturday and Sunday morning with really nice brunch specials.
Now, let me just quickly say that for folks who have not had a chance to enjoy Rosedale, that where the old K&B, now the dollar store is, on Canal Boulevard, across from, we used to say Lenfins, but from the cemeteries, right there, it is Rosedale Street.
Rosedale Drive.
Rosedale Drive,
we say,
it just goes straight down towards the railroad track.
Hard to find, easy to get to.
Yeah.
So, if you haven't been there, you know, but once you get there, you just go, oh my gosh, it's right here. So
well,
really
you're so
easy
kind to participate in our Season of Good Taste dinners. And tell us a little bit about the menu.
Well, we're looking forward to it, and of course it's October 23rd, so it's a Tuesday night. We're normally open Wednesday through Sunday, so we're going to focus just on this wonderful dinner, and I'm excited because oysters will be coming into season, and so that's going to be one of the courses. We're going to do a delicious oyster stew, buttery and yummy with leeks and all kinds of good things, and braised short ribs because it's, you know, it's going to be hopefully cool by then. I mean, we're starting to see a little bit of fall weather now, so our courtyard, our patio is starting to fill up. In fact, it was full today when I left over there to come be with you here.
Some folks might be interested, you know, like, gee, if I wanted to see Susan Spicer, where would I happen to go? Well, it could be any of those three places. Because I've had lunch at Mondo. Oh, there's Susan. You know, been at Rosedale. There's Susan. But you kind of really circulate. Don't you?
I do. I have great chefs in each place, so they're capable.
You have a new chef?
Have a new chef at Rosedale named Allie Birdsall from down the bayou. So she's coming up with some new specials, and you know. She's doing a really great job so far, and I've got Eason and Candace at my other places that I've worked with for years. So,
well, once again, thank you so much, and congratulations on your success, of course.
Thanks so much.
Absolutely. And next weekend, the Opera Creole folks, that a great opera company, they're planning a special concert. And actually, they'll have 3 performances, and it's really focusing on some 19th century Creole composers. Here's Jovanna Joseph to preview this very special series of evenings. Jovanna, The Lions of Reconstruction. I love that title. You were really keeping the drive alive for these composers that folks need to know better, don't they?
Absolutely, absolutely. In our tricentennial year, you know, people should know that we had these classical and operatic composers in 19th century New Orleans, and how they were so vital to the culture, the economy, and how they worked together with other freedom fighters to get the right to vote. And so the core of our story is they petitioned Abraham Lincoln for the right to vote before the Civil War was over.
Amazing. And of course, many of these composers are Creoles of color from the
Yes.
Creole color community, and ended up really studying early on in France. They were sent to France.
Absolutely.
And so Edmond Dede, Basile
Dede.
Berez, Lucien Lambert, all these wonderful composers. So tell us about this upcoming performance.
Well, it's a wonderful thing, but we've built this brand new opera off of their music. So we have the piano works and vocal works of these composers, and we've taken historical text from L'Union and La Tribune newspapers from the Civil War era, and we put historical text and melodies on top of some of the piano works, which was my job. And I created some melodies to just help tell the story. So it's a combination of classic 19th century New Orleans people who were very cultured, who went to the opera. We have a scene where people are going to the French Opera House, and they're telling the story of signing, 1,000 free men of color signed a petition and took it and put it in Abraham Lincoln's hand, saying that when the war is over, we want all free people to have the right to vote.
Well, we appreciate you saving this part of history for us. What are you singing for us tonight?
This is called Le Sermon de l'Arabe, and it was written by Edmond Dede. It was the time he was in France, but he'd gone down to Algeria at the time that there was the British invasion. And so for the first time in his life, he could speak revolutionary terms and speak in solidarity with the people that were trying to save their country and keep their country from invasion.
And we thank our special accompanist tonight,
Stephen
Edwards. And once again, next weekend, Tom?
Yes, next weekend.
At Marigny Opera House.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 7 o'clock. And at 6:15, we have a talk by two descendants of some of our heroes, a descendant of Paul Dravine and a descendant of Dr. Louis Charles Roudnay. We're going to be telling that history, because they were involved in that.
Well, I'll hush and I'll let you sing. Many thanks.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Un jour il m'en souvient, mon père sans attendre, mes filles sur Alcaran, j'aurais morte en lion. Oui, ayant sur mon front, posez sa main sur Dieu. Plus nobles yeux
The Lions of Reconstruction with arrangements by Tucker Fuller. It debuts not this week, but next week, next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the Marigny Opera House. Go to marignyoperahouse.org for tickets. Now, Lars, gee, Lars, so many hats that you wear. But today you're here as a record, and we say, when we say record, we mean record, CD producer, download. You've got some wonderful things from GHB and Jazzology, and of course, remembering George Buck, who made all this happen originally.
Right. Well, we have some changes in the record business now, which is mostly in the last few years, is that people don't really buy CDs so much anymore. They've gone into downloading and streaming. But now the LP has come back. The vinyl LP is back again, which was kind of a surprise. And it's become quite popular. And we actually have a pressing plant in New Orleans now.
Really?
For this first time in history.
Not know
It's
that.
in the Bywater. It's called New Orleans Record Press.
Wow. Now, so you've got Baby Dots.
Yeah, this
Let's
one
see
is
this.
pressed in New Orleans.
Let's look at that. Look at that. Wow.
And it actually has, we were talking about the French language in opera. This has some French language songs as well on here, some Creole songs on here. Yeah, by Albert Nicholas and Danny Barker.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And then you've also got Louis Armstrong, early Louis, huh?
We got an early Louis. This is from the Paramount label, 1920s recordings. This is before Louis Armstrong became very famous, made his own records. This was recorded in New York when he was with Fletcher Henderson's orchestra.
So this is what, 23, 24? Or?
It's 23 to 25.
25.
Yeah,
okay.
and then he moved back to Chicago and he started doing the Hot Five records.
Wow.
And became very famous.
Now we're going to hear let's talk about Don Sewer for a moment.
Right, Don
the
Sewer,
wonderful clarinetist.
Yeah, this clarinet player.
So there is a CD with Don.
This is a double CD with Don, who was a very well-known clarinet player in New Orleans, not well-known outside New Orleans, because he never went on tour. He never made any records under his own name as a band leader. He was the very low-key musician, but he played a lot. He played more jobs than there was days in the year.
Well, let's hear a little bit. What are we going to hear?
We're going to hear him playing a song. This is produced by his brother, who made it sort of a memorial to Don. Don passed away in 2003.
Yeah.
So this is a song with Amy Sharp's trio.
And what's the name of the song?
It's called Appalachia River.
Okay, let's hear it. That he could be somebody who was playing all over town. His, his face is so familiar to so many people.
He was recorded to Sisters. He played at the Palm Court. He played at all the clubs on Bourbon Street.
Wow.
Yeah, and he was very versatile and very technical, very much admired by all the other musicians.
Yeah. Now we have another one too, the Eureka Brass Band.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, Eureka Brass Band. This is the first recording of Eureka Brass Band from 1951.
Wow.
Two young kids came to town and decided to record the brass band.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, let's listen to a little bit. We'll be listening to a little bit of the Eureka Brass Band. And what's this song?
Sing On.
Sing On. Percy Humphrey, what can you say?
Well, yeah, I spent a lot
missed.
of time with Percy Humphrey, actually. I did a tour in Europe with him in 1972, and I also toured the Preservation Hall Band, because I replaced Sing Miller in that band in the mid-1980s, and I was in that band until he retired.
Let's talk about
and his brother, Willie Humphrey.
Yes, of course, and Willie too. But let's talk about your honor. You're going to be awarded Preservation Halls.
Yeah.
Doing a nod to you next Wednesday, next week?
The 17th,
The
yeah,
17th.
at Ace Hotel. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
And what is your title?
Let's see, what is it called? Preservation Hall Master Practitioner Legacy Award.
Congratulations to you and Orange Callan.
And Lester Calise.
And Lester Calise. Congratulations.
Yeah.
And
you all can come.
Okay.
It's open to the public.
It's free to the public. And you hang your hat most of the time on Wednesday nights at the Palm Court.
Right, at the Palm Court.
Okay, great. Congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
so exciting. And the National World War II Museum's VB Stage Door Canteen is doing their own production of the 1966 off-Broadway musical Dames at Sea. Director Banu Gibson visited with us this afternoon to tell us about the show, as did star Amelia Jacquard and music director Harry Marone. Banu Gibson plays the ukulele, the guitar, the banjo, but this time sings, of course, okay? Now, all over the world, mostly traditional jazz, but this time you are wearing your director hat, Dames at Sea.
I know.
For those who've never heard of Dames at Sea, one of my favorite musicals, explain, please.
It's so much fun. It's an homage to the 1930s, all those wonderful Busby Berkeley movies with Ruby Keeler singing and tap dancing, and Dick Powell, who's the leading man, and the sidekick, you know, with all the smart one-liners, and the diva, and the harried and frantic stage producer and director. It's got all of those charming elements to it, and it's just so family friendly, and anybody who's seen one once will recognize all the little bits and pieces that are so much fun to share. And if you haven't seen it, it just makes the laugh even better that you're
Absolutely, and
watching
we
it.
should remind everybody that that was really Bernadette Peters' breakout role.
It was. She
Before,
was
I mean,
20
nobody
years
knew who
old.
that was then.
That's right.
you
And
know.
I was lucky enough to see the original production when I was
Really? Off Broadway.
It was right around the corner at the Theater de Lis, where I was living in the West Village.
Oh,
and
what a great-
I didn't get to see her. I came in for the next Bonnie
And this is
Franklin.
the 60s.
Yes,
This
it was
is the 60s.
69.
69.
Yes.
Wow. Well, the music really is magical, but it's also perfect because it's at the National World War II Museum.
I know, and they are sponsored by the Bob and Dolores Hope Foundation, and we are so privileged to have them underwriting all these wonderful magical shows. So it's just terrific.
And the lineage, okay, of Banu, and of course her wonderful daughter, her late husband Buzz, of course, was such a stalwart for so many years, a professor of theater at Tulane, and now your daughter is kind of like following suit.
I know.
Huh,
I'm
Jessica?
going to go see her tonight in Doll's House too. So
acting and also directing as well.
just
huh?
acting in this one.
Yes, but she does direct.
But she
as
does
well,
direct
doesn't she?
too. I know.
Well, tell us who we're going to hear and what we're going to hear.
Okay, so this is when Ruby has just been proposed to by Dick, and she's writing a letter to President Roosevelt to thank him, and it's called The Sailor of My Dreams. It's Amelia Jacquard and Harry Marone on piano.
All right, and we'll stop talking, and now let's hear some music. Thank you, Banu.
Thank you, Peggy.
Dear Mr. Roosevelt, please let me say, I think your Navy's just great. Tell Mrs. Roosevelt this is my day, for I've just said yes to a boy's request to become his first class mate. Before I went to sleep each night, I used to pray the only boy for me would someday come my way. Now that he's here, I'll love and honor and obey the sailor of my dreams. When he said, "Gee, you're swell," and took me by the hand, I felt like I was Alice lost in Wonderland. Oh, sweet mystery of life. I understand the sailor of my dreams. In school I thought love not worth speaking of. It was just for babes in the wood. But just one little kiss now makes me insist. It's good, it's good, it's good. Since he just took the Navy oath to be all divine. I could go on for reams about my dream man, my gentle he-man, the man for me man, my first classy man, the sailor of my dreams.
Wow, remember that you can see Dames at Sea at BB Stage Door Canteen from October 19th to November the 11th. Visit the museum's website for details. Now, Alan!
Well, you know, Louis Armstrong, we talked a little bit about him earlier, was really one of the most thoroughly researched yet still largely unknown figures in music. Part of the problem is that no less a storyteller than himself, Mr. Louis Armstrong, told his history. And some of it, of course, was a little bit, if you will, fictionalized. Separating the wheat from the chaff was no doubt the task of Terry Teachout, the playwright, who largely succeeds in giving us a taste of really what Louis Armstrong was really about in his play, Satchmo at the Waldorf. Now, Armstrong's penchant for marijuana, his prolific use of profanity, and, of course, his conflicted relationships are all retold in this one-man play. Satchmo at the Waldorf involves his playing not only Louis Armstrong, though, but also Joe Glazer, who was his manager, again, and also Miles Davis. And we'll talk a little bit about that. Henley really breathes life in this. This is Barry Shabaka Henley. He is the actor who has actually played this previously. He's directed, of course, by Maxwell Williams. At times, it is a very profane Louis Armstrong you see on stage, but they really do reflect an honest portrayal of the man. He really arrives when he is able to play and stay at the Waldorf Astoria. Because many, many times, as you know, because of prejudice, people who perform there were not allowed to stay there. Kudos again to Maxwell Williams. Again, a shout out also to Hannah Lax, who designed the set, which is intended to be the backstage, and also lighting designer Joshua Courtney for very effective lighting. Armstrong really loved music, but I think what this play really says most is that he got tired of hitting those high notes and really wanted to achieve a certain amount of legitimacy for himself and universal recognition as a human being. Don't miss this really thrilling work, Satchmo, at the Waldorf, weekends again through next week. Now, anyone who knows theater is really familiar with Henrik Ibsen's play A Doll's House, which introduces to Nora and Torvald, a wife and mother and her husband in 19th century Norway. Well, playwright Lucas Nath picks up where Nora's immortal door slam ends, but 15 years later, as she returns home to deal with the abandoned household that she left behind. Nora's deftly played with humor and sensitivity by none other than Jessica Podwell, who we heard from earlier from her mom, Banu. And the rigid, frozen Torvald is played really expressively by Trey Burvant, directed by Aimee Hayes. This is a production that is the regional premiere for this work, only a couple of years ago on Broadway, winning a Tony Award for Laurie Metcalf. To be sure now, Nora and Torvald really hold most of the interest for the play and their relationship. But again, their ability to relate to each other is not the only thing at play here. Leanne Pattison as Anne-Marie, the housekeeper who has to kind of take over after the mess is left behind when she leaves and letting her former mistress know the havoc that she left behind is very good in the role, as well as Emmy, the last of the children living at home, played by Sarah Dern. Again, the actors are also shadowed on stage by two violinists, that's Tara Reynolds and Kate Withrow, who play chamber music, a beautiful marriage of two different art forms. Again, it's not necessary to have read the original work, but if you get a chance, do check out A Doll's House Part 2. Nath does some really interesting things with Ibsen's characters, updating them and bringing them really into the 21st century. That'll be playing through October the 28th. It has been extended a full week.
Great.
Now, meanwhile, Mark Cartali Productions has announced his 2018-2019 season, and it's going to be really impressive. First off, coming up on November the 1st, we have Marisol Montalvo. Now, she is an opera singer of great note. Next up will be two-time Tony Award winner Christine Ebersol. Then that'll be in December. Then comes Jesse Mueller on January the 31st, and then Jeremy Jordan will be in on May the 29th.
Okay, thank you so much, Alan. Lots of great things going on. New Orleans Magazine's quiz queen, Julia Street, has a question for us. Last time, Tony Stoltz gave us the names of the college and NFL teams that Drew Brees played for before coming to the Saints. The answers are Purdue University and the San Diego Chargers. Now, tonight's question. One former Saints star wore the number 12. Who was he and what position did he play? Email your answers to steppinout@wyes.org. Our prize is a year's subscription to Louisiana Life magazine, 3 packs of napkins from our friends at Wearable Vegetables with such phrases as eat, drink, and be Bloody Mary, and a pair of free admission passes to either the Audubon Zoo, Aquarium of the Americas, or the Butterfly Garden and Insectarium. Go to wyes.org for our online calendar to see our lineup of events, including the Dance Macabre History Tour at the Historic New Orleans Collection and Hazel and the Delta Ramblers, playing next Tuesday at the Night Out on Crime, starting at 5:30 at Magazine in Napoleon, Lawrence Square. You can also link to our WYS YouTube channel to see our program. And now our picks. Susan.
Happy hour at Rosedale from 3 to 6 with
Sounds-
lots of affordable munchies and delicious wine and beers on tap.
Great, Loris.
Go to jazzology.com and see what we are doing.
Okay, great.
All right, a shout out to Peter Pan at JPAS starting up next weekend. And then on November 8th and 9th, Rameau's Pygmalion, the opera, will be 4 days, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th.
Okay, great. And now for my picks. The Patio Planters of the Vieux Carré will be holding self-guided walking tours of different courtyards in the French Quarter. That's tomorrow and Sunday, noon until 4. You can purchase your tickets at Patio Planters' website or Creole Delicacies on St. Anne Street the day of. Looking ahead, the 29th Annual New Orleans Film Festival kicks off next Wednesday at the Contemporary Arts Center on Camp Street. Go to neworleansfilmsociety.org for more information. And there'll be a panel discussion about the future of Mardi Gras. That's next Thursday night at the Carver Theater on Orleans Avenue, moderated by our own Errol Laborde. The event is free to the public, but please RSVP through the Urban Conservancy's Facebook page for the event. The Cove T-Rex will be holding its float auction fundraiser also next Thursday at Mag's Bar at 940 Elysian Fields Avenue. The auction begins at 7:30, and there's just a $5 donation admission. Now, another newly released CD featuring trumpeter Bunk Johnson on the Jazzology label. Here's Lonesome Road. Thank you all very much,
you.
and thanks for watching. Good night.